We'll call the September meeting of the Wood County Board of Supervisors to order. The clerk has already taken the roll, and I would call Supervisor Hamilton forward for the invocation. I'd ask the body to please rise, and then we will remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let us pray. Lord, on this day that we come together to do the work of our county, please give us the patience and courage to do what's right for the benefit of all our citizens. Guide our decision-making to that end, always keeping us humble. Please keep our local, state, and federal safety personnel safe and guide them in their duties. In this we pray, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Join the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Supervisor Hamilton. Trent's working on the technical issues up here.
Last time we put that one much longer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, well, a couple things I can do while he's doing that, I guess. So, first order of business is to take care of the minutes from the previous meeting. On motion by LaFontaine, second by Hamilton. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor of approval, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that motion carries. Today, excusals, Supervisor Fisher. Supervisor Rosar is going to appear virtually. So Fisher excused, Rosar virtually. We have no resignations today. Under appointments or reappointments to the ADRC of Central Wisconsin Advisory Committee, Athena Boardman and Faith Peasley. By motion by Hamilton, second by Lightnum. Any discussion on those appointments or reappointments? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And opposed, and again, that motion carries. Do we have any public comment this morning? Any public comment? Any public comment? Doesn't look like it. No acknowledgements and recognitions this morning, although I will just quickly want to thank all those who attended the WCA conference. I think you probably garnered a fair amount of information there. I think it was a really good conference. The only bad part is Supervisor Lightnum sat in a meeting that I was a moderator, and he found out, like everybody else, we all get one vote. So, he was pointing at me going, remember that? And I said, yeah, you're right. Anyway, I think it was a really great conference. There were great breakout sessions. It was very close to record attendance. I think the only time they had more attendance is we go back to the time when many of the boards had 30, 40, or 50 super, way back in time. So anyway, thanks again. I guess at this point we'll get into the packet. Later we'll have a special order of business. Mike Greer from the ADRC, and then we'll have a very quick 2 to 3 minute jail update when we're done with that. Following the meeting, there is a jail committee meeting downstairs, correct, Laura? It is downstairs?
Yes.
Unfortunately. All right, let's get into the packet. Referrals. For August 15th, one from Jackson County to Ruben and Laura, as well as the sheriff, onto the appropriate places. All right, minutes of the Operations Committee, Tuesday, August 15th, on page 6. Operations Committee meeting of September 12th on pages 7 through 9. 7 through 9. And then we have the monthly letter of comments. Office of the County Clerk on 10. Human Resources 11 through 16. The Treasurer's Office on 17. Employee Wellness, their report as well as the program in its entirety, pages 18 through 24. The program itself starts at 19 and runs through 24. Make a quick comment there too, and not to just single them out, because a lot of you were at a lot of those sessions. In fact, I think Lee was in that one as well. But the one that Supervisor Lightman was in, they talked about how do department heads, it was roles and responsibilities. How do department heads get information as a county board? The letter of comments. And we're one of the few counties that actually does that. I think it's a very effective way to do it rather than just a bunch of statistics. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve on some of those, and if anybody needs that, tweet.
IT, Mrs. Rosar says she cannot hear us. Are we muted?
Well, once we get her up, I'm not gonna repeat all that for her. Donna, can you hear us?
Oh, no.
I guess I gotta wait for this board too, because we are to a resolution in the packet brought forth by the Operations Committee from the Treasurer's Office regarding tax deeded properties. Should get that Jeopardy music.
Oh, Donna said yes.
You guys can all hum along.
Oh, hang on. Okay, she can hear us.
All right. Now how about your board?
Huh? Yeah, we'll get there. Oh, no. It's fine. Okay, you want me to do the resolution now, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, okay. This will be resolution 23-9-1 to have recently tax deeded property deeded back to the prior owner due to the prior owner having filed for bankruptcy and the application of the bankruptcy law's look-back provisions. Fiscal note, technically none. The county will recover the overdue taxes via payments made through the bankruptcy proceedings as opposed to selling the property.
Motion by Bryce, second by Hamilton. Motion by Bryce, second by Hamilton. Any discussion? Any discussion? There we go. All right, seeing no discussion, I would ask you to please, we ready to vote yet? Vote.
Go. Supervisor Rosar.
Still got a few supervisors that are not.
Lightnum, Bry.
There we go.
Okay. She's texting me. You want to take that as you work as okay, or do you want to hear her voice?
That's fine.
Okay. Lance, she said yes.
I was afraid we could take a vote on that.
This is going to be a good day. I can feel it. Okay.
And that resolution passed 18-0, 18-0. Thank you, County Clerk. All right, moving forward. Health and Human Services Committee, August 24th, 26th, 27th, and 28th. The Health and Human Services Committee meeting August 31st and 29. Minutes from the Edgewater Haven Donation Ad Hoc Committee on 30 and 31. The update from the Health Department beginning on 32, and that runs through page 35, 32 through 35. The Human Services Department monthly report begins on page 36 and runs through 45, and that includes the reports from Norwood. Just a quick note, I was up there the other day. Marissa toured me through the facility again. It's been probably a couple of years at least since I've been in there because of COVID, maybe a little bit longer. The place looks fantastic. I can tell you that. The staff, the people up there, as I was driving up, I said, this would be a really nice looking apartment building. I could live here. She said, you might. So, nonetheless, great job up there. It looked really good. Again, 36 through 45 from the Human Services Department. Our CVSO's report on 46 and 47. Public Safety Committee meeting, Monday, August 14th, 48, 49, and 50. Their meeting from September 11th, 51, 2, and 3. And then, I didn't have a stapler that would go through all this. We have their monthly report, and it ran, let me get the pages here, I gotta get to the end. Page 54 through 78. 54 through 78.
Through
In that, we have
76.
two resolutions, we have two resolutions in that. Beginning on page 77, the first one from the Sheriff's Department. This is regarding wages for our jailers, our correction officers. Trent, if you would, please.
This will be resolution 23-9-2 to advance the Sheriff's Department correction officers who are not yet at grade G, step 6 of the Wood County general pay structure to step 6 and begin new hires within that pay grade at step 6. This would move all correction officers to a minimum of grade G, step 6, and supervisors who are compressed as a result would be moved to the next step that allows for a 5% separation from those they supervise. Fiscal note totals $169,677.73.
I have a motion by Bry, a second by Lightnum, and I know that we're going to have this amended. You have copies on your desk. Supervisor White, are you going to move to amend?
Yes, make that motion.
And I have a second on the amendment from Supervisor Zerflu. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Supervisor Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I understand the need, and I've talked with the sheriff and I've talked with other people who are directly involved with this. And this is a case that I think we have to address, and have to address it today, essentially. My fear is process. And that what I'm saying, that we have a process spelled out for how we do things like this and through the steps that they're supposed to go through so that they can be properly vetted. And I think this is the second one of these we've seen in recent history. And I wish that the chairman of the committees would take a good hard look at the process and follow it whenever possible. It's before us today. I'm sure that there are people from public safety who can make a strong case for this. They certainly did when they talked to me. But I just wish that it had gone through another process where it could have been properly vetted. So thank you for the floor, Mr. Chairman.
While I'm discussing, Supervisor White, can you read the amendment? I know we all have a copy, but there are some people either virtually or maybe watching this. You can read that amendment.
Whereas in July of 2023, the state of Wisconsin's approved budget included a provision that will increase the starting wage for state corrections officers to $33 an hour. Act 4 takes effect on January 1st, 2024, in which corrections officers are provided a one-time option of electing into protective status of the Wisconsin retirement system at an employee contribution rate of 14.3%, or an increase of 7.4% over their current general status. Employee contribution rate causing a potential dramatic impact to their net wages. And whereas the Sheriff's Department is currently allowed to pay corrections officers a starting wage between grade G, step 1, $22.74 per hour, and grade G, step 6, $26 per hour, according to the 2023 Wood County General Pay Structure. And whereas the Sheriff's Department has already had difficulty retaining and hiring qualified candidates and anticipates significant difficulties if the disparity in starting wages continues. Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
Well, first of all, that's the resolution. The amendment is what I... Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, the amended parts are as follows. The intent synopsis, where it says this would move all corrections officers to a minimum of grade G, step 6. The amendment would include corrections officer with 4 to 6 years of service with Wood County to a step 9, corrections officers with 7 to 24 years of service with Wood County to a step 10, corrections officers with over 25 years of service with Wood County to a step 13. The fiscal note changes from wages. The wages will now be $143,005.20. The fringe is $39,026.12 for a total of $182,031.32. The therefore be it resolved will read as follows. Effective January 1st, 2024, Sheriff's Department correction officers who are not yet at a grade G, step 6 of the Wood County General Pay Structure will be advanced to step 6, and the newly hired corrections officers will have a starting pay at grade G, step 6. Additionally, and this is where the amendment is, corrections officers with 4 to 6 years of service with Wood County would be moved to step 9. Corrections officers with a 7 to 24 years of service with Wood County would be moved to a step 10. Corrections officers with over 25 years of service with Wood County would be moved to a step 13. And corrections officer supervisors whose wages are compressed as a result of the increases will be advanced to the next step that allows for a 5% separation from those they supervise.
Okay, so now, so I can back up and refresh my memory. We had a motion and a second on the resolution originally. We had a motion and a second on the amendment,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And now we are on discussing the amended, or the amendment. Supervisor Voigt, then I'll go to Clendenin.
This is a tough situation to deal with. We all know that. But that's a tough job. And many of you would not want to do that job. We have to bring that pay scale up so we can be competitive with other employers around the city. You can start at Culver's at $20 an hour. You can start at Quick Trip at 21 if you're over 18 years old. It's essential that we hire quality people to do this job. What do we do to do that? We pay them. It's essential we retain the quality people in that position. What do? We pay them. When I say it's a tough job, I've been dragged on the end of the jaw, I've been punched in the guts, I've been called everything. I was spit at in my face. And that's just locking the person up in the jail cell, along with the jailer, when I used to bring people in under arrest. And I'm sure Joe can tell you the same thing, as any of these fellows can. It's a job that requires patience, perseverance. You're dealing with people at their worst, and you and I probably wouldn't want to do. I sure as hell wouldn't want to do it at my old age. I'm just telling you what these people go through. I'm all for it. I'm voting for it.
Supervisor Clendenin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure we need quality people in every one of our departments, and we look for the best to do that kind of fighting that they have to do. One thing that bothers me about this, I don't suppose this went through Carl and Detman, but if any of our other departments want raises and stuff like that, we have to go through Carl and Detman and pay a fee to move them up a grade. So I asked, did this go through Carl and Detman, or did this just come down from the state?
Tim, do you want to talk about the process real quick? I know you're not enamored with the way these occasionally occur. The wage study, though, these are steps within grades, and there is some latitude allowed there. Do you want to add to that? She's going, no.
Thank you. So to answer the question, it did not go through Carlson Detman. That's why the resolution is coming before you today. And the process for wage increases is typically to have a reevaluation done, which is an annual process, offered once a year, and that does go to our wage consultant.
Thank you.
And I'm not supposed to speak stuff up here, but that was what, I'll let Supervisor Wagner, you got the microphone, go ahead.
I think one question that's hanging out there, it's like an elephant in the room, but is that since this hasn't gone through any of the other steps and everything, we don't really know where the money's coming from to pay for this increase. There's this magic money that's supposed to be out there. I don't know if we've received it yet, or if it's going to come down or not, or if the governor and the legislature have come to an agreement on it. But this magic money says that we're supposed to get somewhere around $1 million. And a lot of it has to be, a significant portion of it, I guess, must be allocated for public safety in one way or another. And that's where I think this is going to be paid for. And because I was a little vague about what processes, I mean, we have committees here that actually oversee these things. And we have Carlson Detman, and we have other steps to go through before it ends up here usually. The rush to get it up here, I think, is because of there's that magic money out there. But I guess given the information we have at the moment, I don't see any other choice but to pass this. So I think that's where I'm going to leave it, unless I've missed a point that the chairman would like addressed.
No? Supervisor Leckie.
I don't want Mr. Wagner to fall out of his chair, but I agree with what he said. We have to do this, and let's get on with it. I'm going to vote for it.
Is there further discussion? Is there any further discussion? Supervisor Zerflu.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. After being reprimanded by His Highness Chairman Wagner of the Executive Elitist Committee, I really don't want to speak further or I might lose control. 37 years in law enforcement, my job was the easy one. Be it a drunk driver, a male from the committed domestic violence, I dropped them off at the jail, signed my paperwork, and went back out on my route. As far as the money, we have unspent funds. I'm going to ask if I could have the sheriff speak. And then also, however the budget is for 2024. That's where some of the money is coming from. The state, as far as I understand, this is a goal on what they're going to do for their correction system of $33 an hour. We can't compete with that where we are now. Do you want to start losing people and how it affects your correction officer, people that are working there every day? Call Grant County and see how many they've lost. Call other counties that are just fighting like they can to try and keep their people. And we have a new jail coming. Yeah, this is down the road. But instead of having our prisoners go out of county to be housed, this is going to reverse. It's not here now, but it's going to be reversed. And then finally, the only thing I want to say is you should be a police officer and more importantly, a corrections officer and walk in their shoes. If it was possible, go down and see what they do for a couple days or a couple weeks. I'm starting to get a little upset, so I'm going to ask if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, to ask the sheriff if he has
Does anybody have any
anything.
objections to the sheriff speaking this? You want to speak, either you or Quentin, in regard to budget and where the funds are going to come from? I'll speak quickly, not to the resolution, but just a clarification. The additional shared revenue package to Wood County is going to include about $1.1 million in excess of what we had last year. The counties do not have any maintenance of effort on public safety. The towns do right now, villages, cities. Counties do not have a maintenance of effort in that particular area. That being said, that doesn't mean you can't or shouldn't use money in those areas. But I just wanted to clarify that. Q or Sean, do you want to just mention, I see you have unspent funds, I think the question is that's a little vague, and what's your thought for 2024?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Chairman
You don't like
Zerflu.
Sean?
I'm not speaking loud enough?
Now, it might not get picked up for the public here.
We want the public to get picked up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. No, I appreciate the words that everybody has said right now, especially with Chairman Zerflu and Vice Chair Voigt. They did the job. They know it. Obviously, I know it. I've been doing it for a long time. But with what Chairman Zerflu said is correct. We're going to save wages to help cover this. I'm very passionate about this, and I want to thank Kim, Peter, Ed, and Quentin. Once the concern came out with wages for our corrections officers at the state level, we need to do something. And I can't reiterate what Chairman Zerflu said. I can't say it enough. I'm very personally passionate about this because I see it. They're part of our team. We need to take care of them. And I appreciate the time that a lot of you took to talk with me about this. That means a lot that we can have that open communication if you have questions about something that, especially I'm personally very passionate about. Enough was said about the position. I've seen it, but if you have more questions for me, if you want to open it up, ask me. But Chairman Zerflu said really everything that I could say. So I appreciate the time.
Anybody have any questions of the sheriff? If anybody has any questions? All right, looks like you're off the hook, Sean.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Supervisor Voigt.
A couple weeks ago, Channel 9 had a
Supervisor Voigt, if you could rise, please. There you go.
couple weeks ago, Channel 9 had a segment where Marathon County is putting their prisoners out of the county. They have the jail. They don't have the people to staff it. Why? They're not having that, they don't have that pay up there. They're paying outside jails $65 a day to house their prisoners. We don't want that. We don't need that. We need to keep our prisoners. We're getting, like Joe said, we're going to have a new jail. And we need quality people to staff that new jail. Here's one approach we can take right now. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Any further discussion? All right, you have a motion as amended in front of you. I'd ask you to please vote.
Supervisor Rosar?
I vote yes on the amendment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so now we have a motion as amended. Motion as amended. You good with that one, Trent?
In a second? I am, yes.
Supervisor Lightning.
I don't know what's happening with my clicker, but it's the second time this morning. I intended to vote yes on that.
Might be operator error.
Has nothing to do with the clicker.
All the nice things he said about you, Trent.
All right, so do you have that, Trent?
You got it.
Okay,
Now you have
the
the
amendment passed. Now we have the
amended.
resolution as amended. The resolution as amended. Is there any discussion there? Any discussion on the resolution as amended? All right, seeing none, I'd ask you to please vote.
Supervisor Rosar?
Yes.
We might need new batteries. Supervisor Cox having a hard time getting his to register.
There it
There we
goes.
go. And that resolution passed 17-1, 17-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to speak before the resolution. I'm, in favor of this. I've spoken to many of the sheriffs around the state. I've had the opportunity to do that as I meet with them. To Chairman Wagner's point, and I think Supervisor Clendenick's to some extent, there is a process. And anytime we do something like this that's kind of outside that process, it isn't if we pull on one end of the string and the other end comes along. It has a lot of impacts countywide, and that's why we talked a little bit about process. So although a great idea, it's always good to talk about how this impacts everybody as we go forward. But thank you very much. Thank you for the comments. And we're through that one. Now we get to the easy one from the Sheriff's Department. County Clerk.
Yes, this will be Resolution 23-9-3 to provide for unanticipated revenue from the Bureau of Traffic Safety housed with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation's Division of State Patrol to finance additional patrol for seatbelt enforcement from October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. Fiscal note, the costs to be funded in the 2023 budget are in the traffic police overtime. The adjustment to the budget totals $7,187.25.
Motion by Hamilton, a second by Bry. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Any discussion? All right, please vote.
No? Just hang on.
All right, don't vote yet.
Go.
All right.
I'm really enjoying this meeting.
Supervisor Rosa?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
That resolution passed 18-0 unanimously, 18-0. All right, moving forward to the packet, minutes of the Seed Committee. Their minutes from Wednesday, September 6th, on page 79, it ends on 82, 79 to 82. We have the update from extension, pages 83 to 87, 83 to 87. And then we have the comments from the Land and Water Conservation Department beginning on 88 to run through 94. Again, Supervisor Lightman, I mentioned your name a whole bunch of times this week. I know we wanted to touch base with and had the opportunity to meet with the Secretary of the DNR the other day. Hopefully had a fruitful conversation there. We're going to move in that direction, as well as some conversation with one of the other county board chairs from Waukesha County that I was looking for. So again, Bill reached out, he asked, and if you'd like to make those contacts, personally know him, give us a call and we'll get those set up. Bill, thank you very much for doing that. Again, 88 to 94. The Citizens Groundwater Monthly Report, 95 and 96. Planning and Zoning, 97 through 100. 97 through 100. The Ready Roundtable meeting minutes, 101, 102, and 103. And then it brings us to page 104 in the packet, and the resolution brought forth from the Seed and the Operations Committee.
This will be Resolution 23-9-4, to seek county board approval to amend the 2023 Wood County Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection grant budget for anticipated state aid monies and to appropriate those monies to the DATCAP grant budget expenditures. Fiscal note, no cost to Wood County. The source of the funding is unanticipated revenue from the DATCAP in form of a 2022 DATCAP bond grant fundings, and that totals $35,292.96.
I have a motion by Lightnum, a second by Clendenning. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? You ready, Karen?
Go.
All right, let's vote.
Supervisor Rozar?
Yes.
Once again, that resolution passed unanimously, 18-0, 18-0. Moving back to the packet, page 105 begins the Judicial and Legislative Committee meeting of September 7th, runs 105, 6, and 7. Minutes of the Residential Options Committee, their minutes from both 8/21 and 9/5. Those are on pages 108 through 112, and read a memo and from the minutes. Peter, sounds like we're making some progress there, which is good, because I was a little afraid of what would happen if we didn't. So anyway, Residential Options Committee meeting, notice of injury and claim on 113, and then the report from the Child Support Agency on 114, from our Clerk of Courts on 115, from Corp Counsel 116 and 117, Register and Probate on 118, the Victim Witness Report 119, and then that takes us to minutes. The August 30th meeting of the HERC Committee, pages 120 and 121. HERC Committee from September 7th, 122, 123, and 124. Monthly report from the Highway Commissioner's Office, or the Highway Department, beginning with the Commissioners, 125 through 130. 125 through 130. From the Park and Forestry Department, 131 through 135. Moving on to the Property Information Technology Committee, their meeting of September 5th on 136, 37, and 38. The updates from the IT Department, 139 through 142. 139 to 142. Then we have monthly letter of comments from Ruben Van Tassel, Facilities Manager, on 143. And then that brings us to the resolution on 144 brought forth by the PIT Committee.
This will be Resolution 23-9-5, to go on record in support of updating the supply of electricity to River Block with a long-term solution that will include a relocated electric meter and the transfer of power supply cable responsibility to the utility provider. Fiscal note, total cost to Wood County is unknown. Some of the project costs will be covered by insurance as a part of a repair. The remaining costs will be paid out of the maintenance fund.
I have a motion by Hamilton, a second by Bride. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote.
Supervisor Rozar?
Yes.
Resolution passes 18-0. Moving forward in the packet, page 145 and 146, Central Wisconsin State Fair Board of Directors meeting from July 17th. It's 145 and 146. The Junior Fair Board minutes, 147, 8, and 9. The Marshfield Fairgrounds Commission meeting starts on 150, goes to 153. That was their meeting from August 1st. Want to compliment, we had representatives from both groups in a joint meeting the other day where Supervisor Butkey chaired that meeting. I thought the meeting went well. It was controlled. It was a good meeting, a lot of information, and I think at some point there we're making some progress. So thank you, Supervisor Butkey. That's 150 to 153 on those. The South Central Libraries System Board of Trustee minutes from the 27th of July, 154 and 155. The meeting minutes from the University Commission, when I saw this one, from 2/9/23, on pages 156 and 157. And then the minutes from the commission from May 11 on 158. And then that brings me to the, I'm going to hold this to the very end, Trent. Is that okay?
Fine.
All right. We have a special order of business right now. We have an update from the ADRC. And Mike, I'm going to call you up. Mike Rhea is the executive director. And he told me he has a fairly short report from the ADRC. I happened to sit in the last meeting to kind of get a flavor of what was going on there. Mike, if you would, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Plummer, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity just to give you a quick update. I promise it'll be very quick, but just a little short overview. ADRC of Central Wisconsin serves 4 counties, Wood, Marathon, Lincoln, and Langley. We are an organization that were formed by the counties to be able to provide the statutorily required ADRC services, as well as the Older American Act programs, your aging services as well. We've been in existence since as a region since 2008, and I think we've been really successful in the way that we provide the services to the residents of all 4 of our counties. I have an annual report that we have created on an annual basis, and actually one of the requirements within that, we're formed by an intergovernmental agreement, and one of the requirements is for me to come up and provide you with an update, a very quick one, and I will provide some of the copies of this annual report to Trent, and if you guys have an interest in reviewing that at a later time, you're more than welcome. It's also on our website that you can find that as well, adrc-cw.org. Just to give you kind of a little bit of an overview of what we do, we are the entity that serves older adults, 60 and older, and adults with disabilities, 18 and older, and help them understand what supports and options may be available to them and help them get connected with that. We also have benefit specialists on staff that right now, as Medicare Part D is going into open enrollment season in October, we help a lot of individuals with helping them understand what their best options are for their Medicare prescription coverage, as well as helping the individuals understand Medicare as a whole. It's a pretty complex program and changes often, so we definitely support people with that. We have staff that are able to really sit down with individuals and help them understand their options of support and how to utilize their own personal use of resources the most efficiently and effectively. And then if they don't have the resources to be able to pay for support, we're also the entry point into the long-term care programs, family care, and IRIS. So we are that entry point as well. We have a program you probably have heard of and are familiar a little bit with, is our nutrition program, so our Meals on Wheels. We do serve Meals on Wheels and congregate sites as well, where people come together for a meal. And just some quick data points. During 2022, we served 44,646 Meals on Wheels meals to the residents just of Wood County. That's just Wood County individuals. We also served over 18,000 congregate meals to individuals within Wood County as well. So pretty robust nutrition program. The one benefit, there's multiple benefits of our Meals on Wheels program, but an additional benefit that maybe even aside from nutrition is we're seeing people multiple times a week in their homes. Some of them are pretty vulnerable. That's their only contact they get within a day. We can make sure that they're doing okay. If they're not, we can get them connected with one of our other staff to make sure there's some follow-up to get the support that they need. We do have 2 Wood County supervisors that sit on our governing board, so Supervisor Clendenning and Supervisor Fisher. So again, if you guys ever are interested in things that we're doing within the ADRC, or if you have questions or concerns, you can always contact me, but you also can connect with those supervisors and they will get that back to me or give you updates in regards to things that are going on within the ADRC. So with that, that's my very brief update. I would entertain any questions that you may have for me.
Not a lot of questions. I think the important part is here, when we entered into this, regional consortium, we really held the costs down while expanding services tremendously. We had input at the start of this. We've had input throughout the process. It's been a great partnership as we have moved forward. And I probably made a comment the other day, you touched on it, I probably should have kept my mouth shut. I was on a Zoom meeting the other day, and a supervisor from another county made mention that people in his county don't know what's going on. And I said, well, it's an open meeting. You can show up. And I said, if you don't want to show up, you can Zoom in. So there's no excuse for not knowing what's going on if you have an interest.
Yes. Just one more point I'll make is in regards to that financial aspect. So as you may or may not know, our population is aging. Especially within our northern counties, the percentage of individuals 60 and older is projected to continue to grow well into 2040, is continuing to grow every year. Our funding has maintained at a flat level since the existence of our organization, both from a state perspective, a federal perspective, and also from a levy perspective. I think that's a testament to how well it works together as a collaboration, as a region, but it's not without its challenges. We've definitely had to look at how operationally to do that, and we've definitely made some operational changes and tightened up our staffing even to that point, but at some point in time that rubber band breaks, and we're getting to that point. So just be aware of that. As a county, we haven't come knocking for any additional dollars for a very long period of time, but I'm not promising that that's going to always be the case. But so far, we're doing pretty good. So
thank you very much. Any other last minute questions? All right, I got a couple of things to touch on here. Kurt, jail update.
Morning, everyone. I was told to keep it brief as well, so everything's going good. Any questions?
Looking good.
Yeah, we do have some slides to go through here. I just kind of want to talk a little bit about timeline and go to the next slide there, Trent.
Okay,
Here you go. So you guys can see the progress. I just want to let you know that the progress that you're seeing right now is that abrupt out of the ground, hey, that looks great, right? And it is. Things are going well. When you bid a public project, you never know what contractors you're going to get. And like I shared with you many times, we were very blessed to be able to get good contractors on your project, and it shows. They're working well together. They're doing good quality work, communicating with one another. Obviously with our team and Ruben, it's been great to be able to see the cooperation from the group, and that's why you see the progress that's there. So our timeline, we're still on schedule, still targeting that towards end of next year for substantial completion. I want to explain substantial completion. Substantial completion means that the building in its entirety will be wrapped up, but not something that you would occupy by fall of 2024. And what I mean by that is on a correctional facility, we'd like to get to the substantial completion portion, and then we will be doing testing and balancing, punch lists, some of those elements. And there's a shakedown process that happens during that facility usage. So what the shakedown process is that Ted and his team are working on writing new policies, and then we have to have a training period or a dry run period where they actually run through those policies before we move inmates in there, okay? That typically takes 8 to 12 weeks. So to kind of give you an idea, the timeline that we originally laid out, we're still on track to be able to meet that timeline. But I also want you to understand the things that are happening there in regards to long lead time items, procurement, some of those elements that are tied back. Our electrical switchgear, our electrical components seem to be the ones that always surprise us. So we're working through them as we get approvals and timelines that are there. So if you tell your constituents, the jail is still on track, still on schedule from that element. So some of the photos that you're going to see here, I guess I would encourage you, if you haven't been able to get out there and tour it, you're welcome to, like we shared with you before. I would just ask that you stop in at the construction house. We're utilizing the house that you purchased, so stop in there, knock on the door, or if you want to let Phil or Tim or any of the team there know that you'd like a tour, they'd be more than happy to tour you through there. I know some of you have. You're all welcome to do so, but I wanted to give you some snapshots of what's going on in there. So if you walked in there today, you're going to see the interior walls going up around the security frames. in place. Those secure walls are obviously block walls that are slushed, and reinforcing bars that are in there, so they're labor intensive. Mechanical electricals are going in at the same time, so it's progressing along nicely. This is just a snapshot of some of those cells as they're in its install phase. Next shot gives you some as a completion phase, so you'll see that the walls are around some of these elements and are wrapped up to the point where you're going to see secure caulking in those elements that are going in, the spaces that are already wrapped up in the block that's there. Next slide would give you some sight lines in that second and third floor, which is that shared office control station where you're able to see down on one level, up on the other level. Sight lines have been in there. Sight lines look very, very good in regards to being able to see around the perimeter of that jail pod that's there. Some exterior shots from some angles that you probably wouldn't see from the street. Again, I think most of you saw how quickly the building went up. That precast construction helped that. Obviously, they were being fabricated off-site, came on site, and then were installed in a fashion where you saw the progress. You can see the roof in this picture here. There is no rubber in some of these elements. You'll see some of the insulation that's there. These are older photos, so the roof is actually wrapping up in some of these areas. Going to be jumping down into that Sally Port area. Some of the windows are going in around the perimeter of the building. We're still targeting by the end of October that will be watertight. So we're still being able to attain those elements, and obviously then there'll be a lot of work going on inside. So what you're going to see is all of a sudden there's a building, and it was great. It's going to look quick, and then it's going to look like, hey, what are they doing? Trust me, there's a lot going on inside of that building over the next calendar year. We've been averaging tradespeople anywhere from 85 to 100 people, depending on the day. There's a lot of people crawling around that building. As we continue to progress with our finishes and our MEP, you're going to see that number continue to climb. So we're keeping a lot of people employed, and we've got some good staff out there. So just some exterior shots there that are moving along. That's it. Any questions for me? Or Ruben, do you have anything you want to add, or are you just here for Q&A?
If there's questions.
Okay. Any questions for us? We do have the jail committee meeting afterwards that you're welcome to attend. We'll get into some more detail there, but I wanted to give you a quick update on how things are moving along. Nothing?
No, it looked great. By the way, I had the opportunity to tour it the other day with Vice Chair Balance, the sheriff, and a number of other sheriffs from surrounding counties. And first of all, the project looks great. Second of all of those sheriffs were in awe of what we were putting up. And although it's extremely expensive, we were still at the earlier end of the cost curve as some of these other counties are looking at that. And like I said, every sheriff was extremely complimentary, with the exception of the sheriff from Opaka County. Wasn't really happy that we're not going to be renting 100 beds over there. He mentioned that several times as we toured the facility. So you guys are moving along great. It looks really good. And when you have time or opportunity, maybe if there's a few you want to group together so they aren't constantly taking people through one at a time.
Good idea.
I think it's really worth the effort. And I made the comment to these guys this morning. I saw the windows going in. It reminded me of the fact that 2 years ago my wife said, there's a couple windows, skylights we have in our entryway that are starting to leak a little bit, the thermal paint, and the seal's broken. And I didn't think about it until I drove by and saw the windows going in. So it was a nice reminder.
That's right.
Don't tell my wife, it's still probably not going to get done, but I'm aware of it. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, the jail committee is going to meet right after this meeting. We're almost wrapped up here. Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor and Supervisor Rosa has a question.
Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you. I was wondering about how the discussion with the possible solar panels on top of that roof, how that discussion was going.
It is ongoing. So actually at the PIT committee, there's been some conversation about that, and we will be reviewing at the next regularly scheduled meeting some grant opportunities available to help us put solar on the roof of the jail. So we're working on it.
So do you think the probability is that is a feasible option?
He's not giving odds yet.
Yes, it is a feasible option. We would be looking for funding. The design of the facility will allow solar to be placed on the roof. There are pathways built in to wire everything in, so it's a matter of the county deciding on what type of system and bidding it out and paying for it.
Any follow-up, Supervisor Roser?
No, I guess I'm just pretty pretty positive about doing that, and I don't know if there's any focus on energy money that would be available for that, but and I'm sure you've talked about that. So I just wanted to bring that up as a supporter of that option.
Yes, also another comment, we will have more control over this project because it is less than 100 megawatts.
Fantastic. Any other questions? If you do, like I said, there's a meeting following this meeting too, where you'll have a lot more detail. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right, thanks.
All right, as I move forward, we have the last page of the packet, page 159, is a resolution in regard to life and service of John Seward. And Trent, if you would please.
This will be Resolution 23-9-6 relating to the life and public service of John T. Seward.
Do I have a motion to that effect by Wagner? I have a second by LaFontaine. John Seward was kind of a stalwart, an icon in his community for a lot of years, and he served on this board for, as you can see, at 3 different times for a total of many, many years. And I know his family's going to appreciate having this. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by aye.
Aye.
And then I would ask that this body please rise in silence for a minute in respect of his passing. Thank you. All right, last thing before we head you out of here. Green Book in your hands, put together by Forward Analytics. That's one of our WCA branches, operatives. We set this up as a separate company, so if necessary, we can charge for their services to organizations other than counties. They become relied upon probably more than the Legislative Fiscal Bureau for some of the numbers they see at the state level, but this pocket guide is one of the best things they've ever done. It's supply free to every county board supervisor in the state. I think you can find about any resource or answer you want in this little book. So take advantage of that.
Well, a couple more things, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Also on your desk was a Forward Analytics study concerning childcare and how expensive it is. So I thought that was really timely, so I got that on your desk. Also, the United Way season has started. If you're interested in donating, either get with me or stop in at the treasurer's office, and you can even do it electronically, Heather says. And I said, you realize the audience you're talking to with electronics. And so you're better off to stop in her office on the second floor, and she can get you all set up.
All right. With nothing else on the agenda, Supervisor Hamilton.
Just one thing, that one of the things that the United Way does support is Meals on Wheels. For the ADRC. It's a big thing. The reason I'm in it is because of Meals on Wheels. My sister loved it.
Thank you. Supervisor Clendon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had to bring something up. I invited several people to come to this county board meeting for dinner and public comment, and it goes along with County Trunk Z or Griffith Avenue and 48th Street. Supervisor Clendenny did not stop that progress. It was the highway department that postponed the funding on that, and it is not up to me whether they do it or not, but I am getting lots of calls, and there's a big campaign out to why I stopped that. They could have came here today and talked about it, and they did not.
Supervisor Lightman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know a lot has been said, or something has been said this morning about the WCA convention that we just recently returned from, but I would be remiss if I didn't say more. And if I don't say this, I don't think anybody else will say it. So it was a fantastic, it was by far the best convention I've ever attended from beginning to end. Those of you that were in attendance saw that last presentation by the CIA operative who had 3 children, and both he and his wife were at times spying and counter-spying while they were raising 3 children. He talked about CIA nannies who take care of the kids when they're out in the field, and they do take care of the kids. You know, if you think of what a CIA nanny would do. But from beginning to end, that conference was just something else. Wanted to talk about a couple of things just briefly. The logistics of putting something like this on. 800 people, moving them around the Kalahari Resort for 3 days, and all that goes into that. And I don't think any of you, if you don't sit there and watch it, realize how complex that is and what a good job our WCA staff does. From the breakout sessions, which I found particularly interesting the last couple of days, they start working, and Lance has said this to me, and he's probably said it to some of the rest of you, they start working the day after the convention ends for the next year. I mean, they're anticipating what it is we might be interested in and what the issues might be a year from now, maybe even farther out ahead. But that conference was just something else. I want to mention a couple of individuals here. The gentleman standing or sitting before us right now chairing this, for those of us from Wood County to know that the chair of the WCA Board of Directors is up there leading the whole state's convention. I mean, that sends goosebumps up and down my spine. I asked him, and he told you this a few minutes ago, but I asked him for 2 things during that convention. There's 2 people I wanted to see, and with 800 people in attendance, I just couldn't find them. Lance never forgets. I mean, he brought to me, I told him where I would be, he brought those people to me, or he saw that I had a chance to talk to them. He would do the same for 800 supervisors throughout the state. I mean, that's the quality of the WCA and its leadership. And then watch what happens here. I wanted to say something too, just very quickly, about the Grand Pompa of the Wisconsin County Clerks Association. He thought he was, look at the blush. Look at it on the screen. We ate breakfast together, I think it was Monday morning, so like 7:45 Monday morning. And as gruff as he is with me, there were some of the county clerks from around the state, female mostly.
Yes.
Okay, now you're hearing it from the other supervisors who were at the table who witnessed it. There were hugs and, dare I say, a kiss. And he thought that he was going to get away with this. If we had the cell phone cameras up quick enough, we'd have had the kiss for you. But anyway, these 2 gentlemen seated before you made something like the last couple of days possible. They're too modest to say anything about that, but our accolades. I mean, it was a fantastic conference and all that went into it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Supervisor Leitner. The recognition is, I appreciate it. We do start, we actually started probably this morning again, full speed ahead for next year as we pull all of those speakers together and are engaged. What I'd like to do is thank this board for their indulgence at times when I have to be in Madison or elsewhere. And, there were times you probably saw that the Friends of County Government, the highest award they give went to Representative Kurtz and Senator Felskowski for their work on the shared revenue package, which is huge. You heard about approximately $1.1 million additional come to our county this year as a result of that. And I can't tell you how many meetings I sit in where when we're leaving it says, you can't say a word. You can't say a word to another legislator. You can't say a word to anybody because, a little bit of information gets twisted before the whole package comes out. And you don't believe how much my wife yells at me when she said, you didn't tell me. I said, I didn't tell anybody. But the beauty is, there's some days I have to be down. There's an occasional meeting I have to miss, although I miss most of them. I really appreciate our board allowing me the time to be able to do that. So thank you, Lieutenant. I agree with you. It's a great conference. And I get to go to several of these around the country. It is the best one. The other ones are pretty low-key compared to what that staff puts on. So with that being said, I will declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.